Welcome to the SNLF DugOut Diaries, Episode 1, Season 2, sponsored by New Style Apparel, the hottest new clothing line storming the terraces at a ground near you. So, firstly, thank you to all you guys. We actually made it to Season 2. However, to celebrate the opener, we had to listen to the streets, and they demanded we get this gaffer on the show early doors. So today in the dugout, we've got a man who doesn't just talk about non-league glory, he's lived it, he's played it, and he's now leading it again. He's a manager I have huge respect for, has taken Littlehampton Town Football Club from county league contenders to captivating the hearts of a nation and fulfilling every boyhood dream of stepping out onto that hallowed turf at Wembley. He, with his partner in crime, George Gaskin, became a treble-winning boss, an FA Vase finalist, and now steering the Marigolds through the next golden chapter. It's none other than the man with a plan, the tactics board, and a 3-year contract to boot. Mitch Hand, welcome to the dugout, pal. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, mate, what a roller coaster you've had with the guys over the last 5, 6 years. And we'll go into that with Littlehampton Town because what you lads did was nothing short of a miracle. But for the people listening at home, and there's a fair few nowadays, tell them where you're from, where you grew up, Mitch.
Littlehampton, born and bred, obviously. I've never lived 5 minutes away from the house where I grew up in Southfields Road in Littlehampton. So, yeah, a proper Littlehampton boy I am.
Love that, love that. So you obviously got into football. You were in there from an early age. What teams you playing at an early age?
As a kid, where was I? Wick to start with, Eltham, and then youth football was again Wick, Rustington. Unfortunately, at the time, so Littlehampton's youth section weren't really a thing. I think it was Highdown Saints at the time, which is strange. But nowadays, you go through Littlehampton, they're all wearing the kits. There's hundreds of youth teams about, which is brilliant. Back in the day, I'm sure I would have played for a Littlehampton side back then, but they just weren't knocking about.
So your brother played as well, didn't he, back in the day?
Yeah, Danny played. He was a really good player when we were younger, actually.
He loved it. I'd say I used to love having a
Yeah.
few bother rows with him. Top lad as well. So
Mm.
when you see him, tell him I said hello. Got a lot
Yeah.
of time for him. And what's he doing now?
Danny he's not actually playing at the minute. I'm trying to rope him into Sundays with me again. We've had a few kickabouts, we had a few tournaments and that recently, but yeah, he's another one that sort of retired a little bit too early, Danny. But he was with us obviously the year of the treble. He was with the coaching team, and he was just one of them people. You just want him in the changing room. He's just one of them characters. Just bounces off people, takes the piss out of absolutely everyone, breaks the ice. Yeah, great person to have about.
Yeah, you said about that pre-season tournament. I saw you won a little corporate tournament with a little dream team, 5 or 6 aside lot, wasn't it? If I
Yeah,
saw.
there's a couple of ringers in there, but no, it was really good. That was up at Worthing. Again, no, we had the Littlehampton kit on, and shock, it kicked off about 5 games out of 6. But we had the likes of T-Jun and Hackey and Steve Herbert, so you can imagine how rowdy our team was. We weren't very well liked by the end of it, but we did win it.
Yeah, well, it's what it's about at the end of the day. It's all about the winning, isn't it? So, right. So, when did you do your big youth stuff then back in the day? So we know you were a player. Talk
Uh,
us through it.
I played at Wick under 18s when I was in year 10, I think it was, year 10 or 11. I knew a lot of the boys that played, and I knew the manager. And the first team manager was Carl Stabler, who was my dad's best mate. So he
Great
had
guy.
early, yeah, oh, yeah, top bloke, like one of the proper old school county league heads. But yeah, he got me in there quite early at Wick. So I played for their for their under 18s. Um, and then moved on to Rustington when Mark Bennett took over and took a bit of a
Hmm.
group of us over there. So yeah, my youth football, my under 18s was Wickham Rustington, which I loved. Under 18s football was like absolutely unbelievable. It's like the best time of your life, isn't it? Playing with all your mates, dipping in and out of first teams, training with first team players and stuff. It was great. I loved it.
And what position were you playing there, Mitch?
For my youth team, I think I always played centre mid. I was one of them players. I was a fullback that thought he was a midfielder. So when I was playing with my own age group, I could just about get away with it. But yeah, when I went into men's football, I got shunted to left back, and that was it forevermore.
And the question is, was the Mitch back then? Would the Mitch today pick him?
I say this all the time, Mike. I'm not joking you. I would never pick myself. I'd never pick myself. Everything I was as a player is what I don't like as a manager. I was a little bit sort of timid. I wanted to play my way all the time, and I had players around me that didn't necessarily want to play that way or it didn't suit them. But I weren't willing to compromise for anything or anyone. Which means I actually moved about a little bit too much when I was younger because I was so pig-headed that I just thought I was right all the time. But no, I probably wouldn't pick myself. I may pick myself at sort of 27, 28, but from 18 to 24, absolutely not. No way.
Well, that's a fair one. That's a fair one. So, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of managers that have played, and a lot of them knew they wanted to be a manager eventually. Did you?
Yeah, I suppose so. I always sort of I fancied myself as having like a football brain. Like I was always a thinker on the pitch, and I thought to myself that. And again, like I would always be trying to have some sort of tactical input in games. And I was really, really lucky though because I played for Mark Bennett for years. And when we played youth football, he leaned on me quite a lot when it came to. He's not one for tactics and things like that. So a lot of the time he'd leave it to me. And he started doing that a lot with Littlehampton when I was sort of early 20s. So he sort of gave me a lot of responsibility and it made me think about that side of the game a lot more. And then obviously when I first went into management, it was with Mark being manager and me as assistant player. So I got into it quite early and started getting used to giving information. So yeah, I did think I would eventually become a manager. Maybe not as young as I did, but I thought it was always on the cards. Yeah.
Did you feel you ended your playing career a bit early because you moved into management a bit quicker?
Yeah, I think I did. I sort of stumbled into it, to be honest, because when me and George officially took over, which was the year after COVID, which ended up being the treble year, Mark left the week before the season started. He just couldn't commit to it after 2 years of null and void. He'd had enough, and he was adamant that it was going to happen again. And he said, "I just don't want to get myself invested if that's going to happen." So it was a week before the season started. The chairman asked us to take it on because there was no one else. And then at the start of that season, me and George were both playing. We were both on the pitch. But we had a moment. We started really well. We won the first 3 or 4, scored loads of goals. And we had a moment we played Peacehaven away. And I was playing left back and George was playing left wing. And we were both quite fiery on the pitch. We started having an argument. Other players were arguing. We lost the game. We couldn't tactically work out what was going on. And on the way back, I remember we just looked at each other and we said, I don't think we can be on the pitch at the same time. We have to have an objective view from the side and on the pitch, which is what works with me and George. And then obviously out of me and him, 9 times out of 10, you're going to pick George. There was games where George was on the bench and I played and Joe started up front. But yeah, we quickly decided that one of us had to be doing our job, basically. We couldn't have it all. So I sort of did roll into management a little bit too early, I'd say. But then I enjoy it as much as playing. I've got to be honest, I really do.
I want to talk about George, if you don't mind, as well, because I know he's been a big part of your success. He's a great friend of yours, great guy. I think he's an absolute diamond of a bloke. I know he's doing a little bit of coaching as well for the youngsters. He's doing brilliant with the old
Yeah.
JPL lot, I see. How does it work? Being because we've both been managers. I've not, obviously not managed anywhere near what you managed, but how does it work being joint managers?
The dynamic works in both ways because when he's on the pitch, he will leave it to me. George is amazing at like the organisation, the sort of planning and the tactical detail that goes into games. He's really good at that. I'm more of I consider myself a bit old school in terms of like man management. I just like people. I'm quite good at communicating with people. So when it comes to a match day, I'll do all the talking. George will then give little bits of information to people, and then obviously on the pitch, he almost sort of manages and carries the message on the pitch. But then when he's injured at the moment, and when we're both on the side together, I do quite like having him with me just to bounce off because I'm a little bit erratic sometimes and a bit rash, and he's quite chilled on the side, believe it or not. But yeah, it just works, mate. We've had blazing rows, me and George, but and a lot of the time when he plays, I take a lot of my sort of anger and frustration out on him. But he's so good now at like at playing the game, at taking the hits for everybody else. And it also, mate, it sends a really good message to the players, because George doesn't get held above anyone, and he knows that and he enjoys that. So the dynamic just seems to work. And to be honest, I could never imagine myself doing it without him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, great guy. So talk to me about the training field then. How does that go?
George loves the coaching side of things. He really does. And I'll be honest, I don't. I never like training as a player. I don't like it as a
Me
manager.
neither.
I have to be in a game situation, playing for points, playing for cups. It has to be like all or nothing. It has to be the end of the world if you lose, and the best thing in the world if you win. So for me, training's just not. It just doesn't do it for me. So George is really, really good at that. And then we've got Steve Taylor who does it. We've just brought in Del Chester, who's absolutely brilliant as a coach.
Where's
Uh,
he from?
Dale was at Pagham. He managed Pagham, but he quickly learned that he didn't want to be a manager. He didn't like making big decisions or having them hard conversations with players. But he's also coached at Worthing for the last 3 or 4 years with the youth. So he's worked with like Hinch, with Aggie, he's seen all these amazing sessions, and he's come in with us this year. And honestly, mate, he's been absolutely brilliant. He now sends in session plans. And before, me and George were a little bit like, do we even want to train tonight? Should we cancel it? Should we go and play five-a-side down the school? But Dell's bits are so detailed that it's what we've been missing over the last few years. So again, the dynamic's really, really working at the minute. I'm enjoying it.
Well, I'm buzzing to see that. Absolutely buzzing to see that. But now I want to talk about the club as a whole. So I'll tell you one thing about Littlehampton Town. They have got what I call some of the best fans out there in all of Sussex, bar none. And there's been a lot of teams that shoot me down for that. And that I've seen them. They're rowdy. They're the type of fans that when you're at home, they make it a fortress. They're right in your face. They're there. I know some of those faces big time. Do you know that
Yeah.
have been in and about, yeah? But it makes it a special vibe. I mean, you've had thousands for those FA Vars games over there. Talk to me about those fans and how they bring a dimension to your team.
Yeah, the thing is that the best thing about them is, I can honestly, hand on heart, say I've never ever heard a negative word towards me, George, the team, anyone. We're very much, if you're in, you're in, and that's it. And it's everyone else who's in the wrong, and it's everyone else's problem, not ours. So my favourite thing about them, don't get me wrong, like some of the atmospheres they've created at the Sporty for some of the big games we played. I think we had 1100 against Bexhill in the league, and you're like, at that level, what that can do for you and what it can do to the detriment of other sides is just, it's absolutely massive. And that year, if we didn't get the 3 home draws, I think it was 3 home draws in a row, then I don't think we would have got to the final. But we
Okay.
got so lucky, and everything just sort of aligned. And yeah, they're brilliant, mate. And nowadays, what I love as well is there's a group of probably 20 or 30 older ones, and they come into Ramsgate, Margate. They're going all over the place. They've got their own little group. They plan the travel. They're at every pre-season game, and you just think, when you're trying to sign players, it's a massive pull. It genuinely is, because you know what players are like, mate. They just want to be loved, don't they? So
Yeah.
we've got kids now, like Marcel came off the pitch, Marcel Powell, the other day, and people are asking him for photos. And although it seems a little bit fucking much for our level, that's what these boys want. That's what they all dreamed of, being pros. Do you know what I mean? And now they've got people cheering them on. And I said, the year when we played Loughborough, before the game, I said to the boys, I said, the biggest compliment I can give you is that you've turned spectators into supporters. And it ain't
Yeah.
easy to do that in non-league. It ain't. And that's what they did. And they've just sort of carried us through for the last 2 or 3 years as well. So they're brilliant, mate. You know them, I know them. They're great people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming to see a couple of your games, getting in that sportsman, knocking down about 50 beers with those boys, and then going out and having it with them in the evening. Because I tell you what, I might not get back till Tuesday with that lot. But yeah, no, it's absolutely great to see. And well, so let's move on a bit then, and let's talk about that season. You know, you're telling me as well that was really near enough your first season that you come in there.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, the 2 seasons before were the null and voids of COVID. Me and George were doing it with Mark, but we were both playing. We sort of recruited the players, and Mark was almost the head figure. But yeah, it was a week before the season started. Mark decided that it wasn't for him anymore. We sort of got thrust into it, and we knew the reason me and George were more than happy to take it on is because we knew we had a really, really good group of players. And we actually said to each other, like, if we're going to be playing this year, we want to be playing with these players. So why do we not just take it over and give it a go ourselves? And I knew from the first couple of games we were blowing teams away. Like we were scoring goals for fun. I think we scored like 5 or 6 in the first 3 or 4 games of the season. So we were like, look, it's a no-brainer. Let's just give it a go and see what happens. But I was so sure early doors. I was so sure that we could win that league. And you've got to remember, we'd only just gone into it from the league below, County 1 to go
Yeah,
up Prem. And there was some good
100%. You've gone
sides,
up.
mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was Salt Dean who had like Pammy, Biff.
They had all the money back in them
Yeah,
days, didn't
they
they?
had all the dough. And honestly, Macca, this was the main thing for me. So when we started that season, Mark used to pay a few players himself. It's well known that he used to do that. But the club itself had, I think we had 16 grand. It was either 16 grand or 20 grand, something like that. We had to pull all the players in to the change room because me and George didn't have a clue what these boys were getting paid.
Was that for the season? Is that
For
what
the
you had
whole
for the
season.
season?
That's gospel.
16,
Well.
16. That is fuck all.
I can't remember whether it was 16 or 20. I think it was 16 and they upped it a little bit because we obviously had good runs we actually had a good run in the FA Cup as well, I think. But we had to pull all the boys in the change room. We didn't know what they were getting paid. So we were like, look, boys, everyone's on £25 a week. That's it. Joe, we paid £50. Tom Biggs.
What, Joe Ben?
Yeah. Joe and Biggs.
Love Joe.
We said, we'll give you £50 each. We don't know what Mark was doing. If anything changes, and it did later in the season for Joe, but we had to double his money to £100 when Dartford and Worthing came in for him, and he still stayed. So it was like it was massively into the unknown. But all the boys were mates as well. We had you had a little core with like Alex Duncan, Hunty, Jordan Clark, Lee Garnham, and then you had Biggsy and Joe who were together, and then you had me, George, Shay, Dion, Lucas. So we almost had like 3 groups of friends within one team. So no one wanted to go anywhere. But yeah, we just started the season like a train and it just carried on.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like I've known Garnham since he was a lad, Hunty and all those
Well,
boys.
imagine that changing room, Mike. You've got Lee Garnham, you've got Danny, you've got Hunty.
Well, you wouldn't be getting if you ain't getting the shower if it's Lee Garnham, put it that way.
You're not. Yeah, you're brave if you are, but there was a few others in there. I'll tell you that now. But the changing room itself was just unbelievable, and it was like night out after night out. And if it weren't nights out, it was staying up the sporty till close, or it was we were getting games called off, and we were all telling our missus the games were on. We're in our tracksuits up the sporty on a Saturday. It was just absolutely unbelievable. It's such a good, enjoyable season, not just for the fact of winning games, but just because of the boys that we had.
So you obviously come on the main show last year, the SNLF show, and you gave us an insight into that run that you had, the treble season, yeah? And you told us, I remember rightly, there weren't time to think about the next game, about a semi-final, about a big winning game, because they would come in bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
How did you, for the people that didn't listen to that show, tell us how you dealt with that, you, George, and the club as a whole?
We got to a stage, I can't remember what month it was, and it was like we were in everything. We were in absolutely everything. And we were just like, and we'd keep saying, like, we hit a stage where, again, like, our big thing was we were scoring so many goals. We were scoring so many goals. George was scoring, Joe was scoring, Biggsy was scoring, Lucas, Dion. Everyone was chipping in with goals. And it was like, and we got to, can't remember what month it was. It might have been the month of the 5th round of the bars. And we were like, we were saying to each other, like, me and George, are we like resting play? Like, what are we doing now? Are we prioritising? I remember George just said to me, no, flat out every game. And we were like, yeah, okay, fuck it, we'll just go for it. And every game just seemed to roll it. You know what county league's like? You play Saturday, Tuesday. You've had games called off throughout November, December. You're catching up. So the best thing that happened to us was that backlog of fixtures. Because 1, we were really fit when we were playing week in, week out. 2, we could rotate the squad and keep everybody happy. But 3, obviously, the magnitude of the game, you don't get tired when you're playing a quarter-final of one cup, a Saturday against Salt Dean, and then a Tuesday night Peter Bentley quarter-final. Like, I just remember it just rolling into one. And then the last month of the season, honestly, it was just every game was an excuse for a night out. It was like, we won the league, we've done this, we've got to the final, and it was just carnage every week.
But you must have been seeing these lads near enough every other day.
Like 3 times a week. I remember one week we played Tuesday night, Thursday night, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, and the last Saturday was the FA Vars semi-final. So we played
Didn't,
5 games in 7 days, I think it was, or 10 days. 5 games in 10 days, maybe. And
did
the last one was Loughborough. And we won 4-0.
did you find anything about their character? Because you've got the way I look at it, you've got the potential of getting to Wembley, and you've got other games, league games. Peter Bentley's this and this. Eyes are on that prize of that Wembley. Did you see anything about their character changing? Did you see anyone pulling out of any tackles or anything like that?
And do you know what? I didn't have to do a thing when it came to that, because when you're on the pitch with people like Garnham and Alex Duncan and Shane Wiggins, Jordan Clark, these sort of players, even Lucas and Dion, they're all just absolute battlers. So no one got away with anything in that team. And if you did, the problem was, is if you did start holding back, you ran the risk of not playing in them Vars games anyway. So everyone was just so sharp, so committed. And we were headed. Our big thing as well with us boys is local pride is just as important as, like, the Vars was a bit of a pipe dream. But for us, it's
100.
like, we need to win these cups. We need to win this league. We need to beat Salford into this league. So for us, it was like the league and the cups were the be all and end all, and the Vars was just an absolute bonus. So yeah, we were hell bent on winning the league, which probably helped us in that Vars run, because we were just flat out every single game.
I love that. Now, talk to me about some unsung heroes around the club, because I'll tell you one thing. I watched that documentary your fans made that you were on. Yeah, thought it was fucking brilliant. By the way, thought it gave a good insight into the club. LA were massive. They did it. Uh, Talk to me about the club, the committee, people, key figures around there. Is Max still there? Is he?
Yeah, he is, mate. And do you know what the best thing about that little about that movie was, for us, seeing it from the complete other side? Do you know what I mean? Because we were in the middle of
You're in the
it.
bubble, weren't you?
But I always said I would have loved to have been in with the fans. I'd have loved it, and to see it from their point of view was just amazing. I absolutely, it made me love it even more. It made me actually understand what we had done, because a lot of the time we don't really look back and consider what we did. But looking at it like that did. But yeah, like, you've got Basher Bates, Alan Stoner, Mac. All these people have been at the club since I used to go and watch Littlehampton when I was 10, 12 years old with George and Josh.
I was at Worthy United with Mac.
Yeah, so these people are just, they're part of the furniture, but also, like, they're a massive part of my life. Like, I've grown up with Basher, I've grown up with Mac, and like, I think the reason me and George are so sort of happy and comfortable at Littlehampton is because of the backing we get from them. Like, when we spoke, when you see this 3-year deal and stuff, that actually came about because every year we just shake hands and Matt goes, "We'll do it again then, yeah." And I said to him this time, I said, "I'd like us to have a bit of a longer term plan."
Good.
I said, 1 year, I don't think you can pitch that very well to players. I said, but if we come up with a sort of a 2 or 3 year plan, which is to get out of this division and move on to the next, one, it's realistic, but two, it actually puts targets in place for the club and for us. And he said to us, 10 years. And we're like, we appreciate, we understand, but we'll go for free for now. But he's always said to me, he just, imagine getting this from your chairman. He goes, "You're manager too, you don't want to be."
Love that.
And as a manager, like, you go through spells. We had a spell in my second year in Ryman South, and we hadn't won in about 10 games. And we have really good players, but we just couldn't get a result. And I felt like I couldn't get a message over anymore, which is like, I was really down as a manager. Probably the
Did you
worst
feel in a
thing.
dark place?
Yeah, sort of, football wise. Yeah, I'm quite upbeat in general and quite realistic. But I remember saying to them, we played Horndean away and we lost, and we went into the bottom three, and it was just a bit alien for us. And I said to the players, I said, "I just don't know whether this is working anymore in terms of my message to you." Because we had good players. We had, like, Brad Donegan at the time, Ollie Starkey, Finn Chadwick, George, like, really good players, but we just couldn't win a game. And I said to Mac after, this was Boxing Day, I think. And I said to Mac after, I said, I don't know if it's working anymore. And he literally said to me, he said, "I'll get rid of every player at the club before you go." And I was
Love
like,
that.
and even though none of us wanted that, just to sometimes hear that from above yourself just gives you that little bit of fire again, doesn't it? Because you're like, no, do you know what? We're going to get this right. And we did, and we ended up staying up, and now we've got a bit of a platform to go off. But those people at the club just make it, mate. They're so real and so sort of down to earth and so hard working that you can't be anything else other than that. You've almost got to go off them sort of standards.
I, I totally get that, and I love the fact that the club gave you the backing, and they should have. They should, because I know there was bigger clubs sniffing around you guys. Do you know what I mean? And there will continue to be. But you certainly must be one of the managers that will be hardest to prize away because you are LA for you cut yourself open, you're pissing out gold. Simple as that, you know.
Yeah,
So I want to talk about your current squad because I know quite a few of them in there. You got some, I think you got some real exciting players, and with the fact that they've given you the backing, this long term plan, and managers don't get that often. Do you know what I mean? So that must mean something, as you said, getting it over to players. Talk to me because I'll tell you what. Let's start. Let's start at the back there. Now you got one of my favourite players, a guy that I had, a colossus of a man. I think probably one of the most underrated players in the league, who is a giant. That's Tejan Sparks. I mean, he scored. Did he score a couple of the weekend as well?
yeah, he did. Yeah, he's popping up in the box now as well, and he lets everyone know about it.
Oh no, I mean, it was wicked. I was involved with him, obviously at East Preston at Arundel. He did the other FAVs run and that. Great guy, Marshall Ball, Ben Hack, two other guys I know, fantastic players. Talk to me about it. This like who's who are defenders on your list. What's going on? How are
Yeah,
you going to keep all them happy?
we've got a fair few. Yeah, we have got a fair few, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We played Hacky holding midfield in pre-season. He said, "Don't ever do that to me again."
Really?
But he was
Really?
brilliant. He was.
Was he?
I love the way he plays. You know what he's like? He's full blooded, tears around the pitch.
Yeah.
He's actually a very, very good footballer as well. So yeah, we'll make it work, mate. But yeah, those boys. I feel like we've got. I said this to Teach the other day. So I don't know if you know this, but Burgess Hill came in for Teach.
I
Uh,
know they didn't. And do you know what? I know how much they came in. I won't say on here, but I know
yeah,
to the penny how much
I
they came because I hear a lot of things.
Yeah, I sort of anticipated it because we played them last year. He scored an unbelievable goal and he was just brilliant against them. Then he got man of the match in the final.
And
And
I
it,
know Jay and Gary.
yeah, of course. So they come in for Tej, but then again, Tej is just like me and like a few of the other boys. Like he doesn't want to play anywhere else. And the fact that it was quite an easy decision for him. But he'll get there. And I said this to him. I said, look, you'll get there. You'll get to that level. If that's where you want to play, you'll get there. But hopefully, we'll all go there together.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I,
having these sort of young Littlehampton boys, it just makes for a proper change room. And I've said to Tej, like, they've got right now what we had 4 or 5 years ago, what we had 10 years ago when we had all the local boys, and it's like it's a massive privilege to be in a team full of people that you would spend your time with outside of football anyway, because you get it all. You get the winning moments. Losing becomes easier because you've got your mates to fall back on. So I'm really happy with the group we've got. The recruitment this summer has been the best and the most balanced we've done in the last 3 or 4 years. And what we've got now, I think will only get better as well.
I do. And if you look at the average age of them, they're young uns as
They're
well,
young
mate.
lads. Yeah.
But they played. Is it true you got Howick as well now?
Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny's with us as well. Yeah. He played really well pre-season. We're trying to get him slightly fitter than he is now because we want the best version of him. I spoke to him about this the other day. But again, when he's on it, he's a great player. And I tell you what, he's a really good organizer and good character. And we went out after the Hythe game the other day, and there was 19 of us out in Brighton straight after the game, and he was giving it large. He was one of them. So you just that is the makings of a good change room, a good team, and that.
He's also a terrible loser, which I love as well.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. You're right. I
You
don't mind.
know, so and I hear you've got Dave Herbert back, quality player, showed his quality using his let's say loan time at Arundel last year. He was different gravy in that league. You could tell he was a level above. How fit's he these days?
Yeah, he's looking really good, mate. He scored the other day. He's had loads of game time pre-season, so he's ready to go. George is injured, so Dave's got the number 9 shirt as it stands. And he's the type of player like you stick him at any level, he's a finisher, isn't he? You put him in the
Yeah.
box, just give him chances, and he's going to score. So it's just a case of doing that for him. But his all-round play is really good as well. Dave makes everyone else better. So if we can keep him fit and sort of raring to go, then he's only ever going to do good things for us.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a bit of filming pre-season up at Three Bridges with Ben Bacon up there, And he was doing the summer camp, putting it in, and it was a super hot day. So he's obviously back to where he desires to be, and where he'll deliver now. And talk to me about one of my little favourite mates as well, Matt Storm. What a lad! I tell you, he to me one of the most coachable lads. He's because he doesn't really say much back.
Yeah.
He listens. Bit of a student of the game. He was actually my assistant at the EP23s, and he was just brilliant in there. Is he going to kick on this year?
I hope so. I hope he is. I mean, he played the other day, scored goals. He's played loads through pre-season. We've given him what he wanted, which was an opportunity.
Yep.
And to be fair to him, like for a manager, you couldn't ask much more of a player, especially what he does out of possession. He's got a lot to work on moving forward. But I always say to Stormy, he's at the same stage now as when we first got Lucas. And look where Lucas is now. Lucas is going to be playing Conference South this year. Stormy's got all them attributes, but he's so willing to learn that you can just go, yeah, do you know what? If he makes mistakes, he's fine. He asked me to come to training early to just work on a couple of little bits, trying to turn him slightly more streetwise. I don't think he's clever enough in terms of his abilities and what defenders can and can't do. I say to him all the time, if you push it past the defender, you've got to start using your body to win free kicks and win fouls, because otherwise you're letting them just take the ball off you. And he's slowly learning that. And if he's going to learn that anywhere, he'll learn that with us. So I hope he's one of them players that I'm rooting for. I want him to do well, and he knows that as well. So last year he scored loads of goals for us from the bench. This year he wants to be playing more, but I hope that he gets to where he needs to get to be playing for us week in, week out. But he knows me and George love him, so he's in a good place.
Good stuff. And talk to me about Marcel. How's he getting on?
Oh, he's looking so sharp, mate, honestly.
I've heard some naughty stuff about him pre-season.
Yeah.
I heard he's looking like a rocket, mate.
Yeah, my biggest worry with Mars is we had him last year and he was just injured constantly, but he's come back. He's absolutely shredded. He's looking $1 million. He's rapid. He's burning up defenders, but I still worry about him because of that fitness element. I still
Same
worry
you had
that.
with Joe Ben and all that lot.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah, you always worry about losing players that you're heavily reliant on. But yeah, he looks. If we can keep him fit, mate, then we'll be very lucky to keep him for the whole season. He's that good.
Yeah.
But again, he's another one. He absolutely loves it. He loves it with us. He could have gone elsewhere in pre-season. He travels from Brighton. He's going to London Uni. I think he's still going to play for us. So yeah, I'm just hoping and praying that we keep him fit because he's so good to watch. And for me, the one thing I have to have as a manager, I have to like watching my teams. And he's one of them
Okay.
players. I'm just like, give him the ball because I want to watch him. I want to watch him roast defenders. I want to watch him make things happen. So yeah, I've got my fingers crossed for Mars this year.
And we can't leave without talking about your other striker. How's he looking pre-season, I'll guess?
He had a bad injury in the Northampton game, which set us back a little bit because he's like a massive focal point of how we play. We like to set the way we go after teams and press. A lot of it comes from George. Dave's doing a really good job of doing the same sort of thing at the minute, to be fair. But I think he'll probably be back end of August. And I mean, if we can get George and Lucas back fit at the same time and bring them back in at the back end of August, then suddenly we're looking quite dangerous.
So how does this season look now? You've obviously moved to the old southeast South Central League there.
Yeah.
Loads of new teams. What's the intel on them? You
Not a
done your
lot.
research?
No, and I don't want to because the
Okay.
first year we went into the southeast, we done no research on anyone. We was very much we will do what we do, and we had a great season. We finished, I think, 10th or 11th. I think we're around the playoffs at Christmas, and I feel like in football sometimes I feel like you can get in your own head about other teams, and you can prepare too much, and you can put the fear of God into yourself and your own team just by going off what other teams are good at. So I'm loving the fact that I don't know anything about these teams. The boys don't know anything about them. So all you're doing is you're just going anywhere we're going this year, we're going to win. We were going to places like Ramsgate, and we had lost there a couple of years on the bounce. So you know what it's like as a player and a manager. You think, here we go again. That is how it worked. So for me, it's a completely fresh. I don't want to know anything about anyone. Just want to go into every game and try and win it. Simple as that.
Love that. Love that. So hopefully we're looking for a nice little cup run as well with you lads in there. What have you got in the main? Who you got in the main cups coming up?
We've got North Greenford in the FA Cup next Sunday. And we've got Hendon, who I know are supposed to be a good side, who got relegated last year. in the trophy in September. But mate, that trophy, like you do well to get through 2 or 3 rounds. It's a serious competition.
Is it that bad? Is it?
It is like the Vars. I always go back to the Vars, and I was talking about this to Tej actually yesterday, and we said what would have been a bigger achievement, winning the Vars or winning the Sussex Senior Cup? And we said the thing with the Senior Cup is you've got to play the big boys. You've got to knock out your Eastbourne Boroughs and Worthings. The Vars that year, we were in the final. We should have been in the final because we were the top goal scorers across the country at that step. We were top of our league. So why shouldn't you at the top? Our level was the only level that was in it. Do you know what I mean? We were at the top end. But the trophy you get like your Conference South teams, I think, don't you? And just huge football league clubs. So yeah, all you just want to nick a good draw, really. You want to get for a round or two and then nick a decent one at home or away. But yeah, hopefully we can do that this year because we haven't done well in it the last couple of years.
You mentioned the Sussex Senior Cup. I watched that game online. Yeah. Again, Full Tejan had a massive game in that one.
Yeah.
To be fair, I thought you lot were bang unlucky because everyone expected Horsham to roll you over and do that. And what was it? 93rd minute free kick, if I remember, something shit like that.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like you haven't took your share of heartbreak over the years, to be fair. But let's hope we have a great run there. Look, I'm banking on you lot having a wicked season this year. I'm definitely coming down to see you. But now I want to get onto that part of the show where we liven it up a bit. All right. I've got 20 quick fire questions for you. And I want these off the top of the nut. Yeah. No thinking about it. No predetermined stuff. Right, you ready?
Let's go.
Wembley or promotion?
Wembley.
Who's the smartest football brain you've ever worked with?
Smartest football brain. Oh God, there's not many. I've got to be honest. Smartest football brain. Steve Tabor, our assistant.
Okay, cool. What's your favourite away day in Sussex non-league football?
Pagham away. Love beating Pagham. Hate them.
Look, I like. We've had a good few beers over in the Lions Den. Yeah, I can see why. Didn't you play
I go over there all
pre-season?
the time. I go over there all the time. I actually like it because it's similar to Littlehampton. But I grew up. Mark Bennett literally forged us into hating Pagham with a passion, and then he went and managed them. So yeah, so we hated him even more. But yeah, Pagham away for Littlehampton. You want to beat Pagham.
Wicked. Player you'd sign tomorrow if money wasn't an issue.
That sounds like money wasn't an issue. Chris Dixon, the striker that was at Horsham. Yeah, proper number 9, big guy up top. I'd love to have a player like that.
Okay, cool. What's the best individual performance you've witnessed in a Littlehampton shirt?
Either George against Loughborough or Tom Biggs in about 36 of the 38 games he played that season. Unbelievable. Everyone talks about Joe. Like, honestly, you ask any player that was in that squad, Tom Biggs was like literally unplayable for us.
Yeah, he's a hell of a player, isn't he?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I used to love watching him play. He was unbelievable.
What's the best catering you've ever had away?
Herne Bay last year, they put on this spread. We still talk about it now. It was like being in an Indian restaurant. It was unbelievable. I can't even describe what they were serving up, but we got beat and we were just still over the moon. It was that good.
What's the funniest thing a fan's ever shouted at you from the stands?
One of them called me ugly, and I was absolutely devastated. I've had all sorts of shouts. One of them called me ugly, and I was saying to Steve, did he just call me? He never called me ugly. But yeah, that's the one I've had. I've only had it once though.
If you weren't managing football, what would you be doing?
Oh, Christ. Soft plays, IKEA, all the shit that we hate.
Oh, don't. Stick to management.
Yeah.
Who's the player most likely to become a future manager from your current squad?
Oh, future manager from my current squad. You'd say Stormy because he's a coach.
Yeah.
But who else would I say? I'd love to see Tej as a manager. Tej, he's a great motivator. He's got all the energy.
He's fucking brilliant in the changes as well, isn't he?
He's brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. Who's the toughest team you've faced in the last 3 years?
either Cray Valley or Ramsgate. I'm only saying this from a league perspective. Obviously, we played Worthing, we played Horsham. I'd probably say Cray Valley.
Okay. What's your pre-match play on the pre-match playlist on Spotify?
Can't hold us, Macklemore, before every single game. Can't go out without that.
Okay, I like a bit of Macklemore. They're the old heists.
It's
I'll
our
take
guy.
that. Right. What's the worst ever halftime team talk moment?
We played for Littlehampton in 2014-15. We played Maidstone away in the FA Cup, in front of about 2,000 people. We're 5-0 down at half time. And Mark Bennett said to us, just go out there and play for prize. Go and win the second half. 10-0. Finished 10-0.
Brilliant. What's the one thing you change about non-league football?
I would change the view of a right and wrong way to play the game. I hate it. I hate the fact that people now think it's acceptable to lose if you pass the ball, if you play a certain way. For me, you've just got to be adaptable and win games however they present themselves. I always say to the boys, the best way to win a game is identify early how you're going to do it and then just do it. Rather than we're going to play this way and that's that, we're going to pass the ball. I can't stand it. Does my head in. Teams that try and play that can't. So yeah, I would make it as old school as possible.
Love that. What's your post-match go-to drink?
Spot of soul or Peroni.
Okay. One result that still haunts you.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you have to answer that?
Yeah, it's Newport Pagnell, FA Vase final. Worst day of my life.
Describe Littlehampton Town in 3 words.
Aggressive,
Yeah.
hostile,
Yeah.
but real.
Proper. Yeah. I'd agree with that. Just 3 more. Ever pretended to know a player's name midway through a game when you didn't know him at all?
No, I'm not very good with names anyway, so everyone's just mate. Hello, mate. How are you, mate? No, I've never had that one. I've tried to tap a few up mid-game, but that's about it.
Who's the biggest proper football man in your squad right now?
Somebody that just loves football in general.
Yeah, sicko.
Uh, Marshall Paul. Marshall would. I say this
Marshall.
because, yeah, purely because he's the most committed man I've ever seen take to a football pitch. He'd stick his head where most blokes wouldn't put a shovel. So, yeah, for me, Marshall.
Yeah,
You've got to
great
love
guy,
football to
Marshall.
play the way he plays.
2 more questions, that's it. What's the dream for Littlehampton in the next 5 years?
The next step, to get into the next step, I'd love mine and George's big aim when we first took over was first of all we wanted to overtake your Arundels, Paghams, EPs. The
Done that.
next bit was Bognors, Horshams, Worthings. It's going to take a while to get to. Obviously, Bognor are now with us, more of their own failure than us, sort of progressing. But yeah, for me, if we could get to that next level, we like sort of trying to break as many records as possible. So if we take the club to that level, I don't think that'll ever be done again. So that's the aim. If we can get up to that next bit, which would be difficult, then I feel like we would have done a proper job at the club.
Love that. Final question. I always ask this to everyone. You're stranded on a desert island. You've got to survive for 30 days. Who's the 5 people you're bringing with you to get you through those 30 days?
Oh God, 5 people in football, yeah.
5 people, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go football. I'll take George with me because I can't really do much without him. I'll take Steve Table with me as well, my assistant, because again he goes everywhere I go. And then I'll have to take a couple of players for me who's going to keep me entertained. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll bring my brother and Tejan. They're working together at the minute and they're a right little double act, so they'll keep us massively entertained.
Brilliant. Well, Mitch, you've been fucking brilliant, mate. I really, really hope you and the lads have a great season. Can't wait to get down there. You, the club, George, the players have done phenomenal things. You've literally took a seaside town club to the TVs of nationwide homes. You've done the town proud, you've done the county proud, and you've done all your families proud. Can't speak more highly of what you lot achieved. And still, you haven't reached the ceiling. So, Mitch Hand, Thanks for coming in the dugout, pal. You've been amazing.
Thanks for having me, mate. Loved it.